Good morning, it's Amy from Oregon Lashes. I am coming to you today to do an eye tutorial with our pigments and to do a smoky eye look. Now you may notice my skin doesn't look like it has any foundation on it, and that's because it doesn't. A few days ago I actually read a makeup tip online about doing your foundation and your concealer and your whole face look after your eyes. When you're using pigments that Younique makes, you definitely want to wait and do your foundation after, because you can get a lot of fallout from those pigments, so it can stick to your face. And since we're doing a smoky look today and we're dealing with very dark colors, you're definitely going to want to make sure nothing sticks to your face. So today we're going to be working with our eye brush set. We're going to be working with 3 different pigments. We have Devious, which is a very dark black shimmer. We have Daring, which is a beautiful deep chocolate, almost touch of gold shimmer as well. And then our pigment shimmer in Sexy. This is going to be our highlighting, just kind of lighten everything up. One thing you'll notice is sometimes during application, like eye makeup tutorials, they'll say wet your brush. And some people are like, Amy, it didn't work, or I ended up getting this runny mess. So I'm going to kind of show you what I do to wet my brush. So since I already have my primer on my eyes, I'm going to go ahead and take our Younique's Refresh Rose Water. This is an amazing just botanical boost, but it also has toning and astringent benefits. But it also just, with the rose water, it makes your pigments, when you use them wet, it makes them so much smoother. So I went and picked up Michael's craft store, wherever you tend to have in your area, a little palette for like 90 cents. And what I do is I go ahead and I take a little spray into one of these little holes here. Then I am going to go ahead and I'm going to be using first our Deluxe brush. And that brush is nice and big and fluffy. Let me go ahead and show that to you. Ta-da! So it's nice and wide, so it gives you very deliberate application, but over a wide area. So first, I'm going to open up my little sample. When you buy a full-size pigment, it'll come in an actual square container. So these are just the samples, so it's a little small thing. What I like to do is go ahead and tap out quite a lot here. So you're going to want a pretty dark look, so you can see that's right in there. Now, what I'm going to do is take my brush, I'm going to dip it in here into my little rose water that I made. And then I have a washcloth, and I'm just going to press the brush on the washcloths so that the brush isn't soaking wet, but it is damp. Then you're going to take your damp brush, create a paste in the cap, and what you're going to do is start with one eye, and we're going to be placing it all over the lid. And what you can do is tap it on so that you're really getting a good coverage, because if you try to brush, like sweep on, what can happen is that it'll tug your skin, the eyelid skin. And then when that happens, you can end up getting lines into those eye skin. So we're going to want to pat it onto our eyelid like so. And then we're going to go into our crease and just kind of pat it all up into that crease. Now the crease is right under your eye bone. You can actually feel it. It's right there where that skin kind of recesses. So then we're just going to put that right in there. Now this is going to look very, very dark. And that's okay, because I'm going to show you how to blend that out. So once you have a really good dark base, and you're happy with how it looks, this is super dark, but that's okay, like I said. Okay, I'm also going to go ahead and extend it up. Sorry guys, using a little mirror, you can look at me. Haha, I made a tower for my phone. Anyways, okay, I'm going to bring it up a little bit in my corners here. Now, you're definitely going to have a very dark line right here. That's okay. I'll show you why in a second. So now that you have your daring applied, you could tell it's very dark. Excuse me. I like to also just wipe my brushes off after I use them. And then because I did use it wet, I will be rinsing my brushes off afterwards. It's really quick. Just run them under some warm water and kind of dry them gently with a towel. Let them dry facing up in a little container. You'll be good to go. The next step for this is I'm going to be blending out this line up here, but I'm going to be using Younique's liner shader brush. You have a great angled brush for eyeliner, which I'll be showing you soon. And then our shader brush, it's kind of like the deluxe brush, just a little bit smaller, and it's a lot softer. So it doesn't give as dark of an application as our deluxe brush does. So the next step is we're going to take our Sexy. You don't need a lot. Just tap a little bit in there. We're going to use it dry, so we're not going to wet our brush, our shader brush. Tap it in, tap, 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 tap. If you want, you can do a little, just to get any excess off. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to actually use my little mirror here, is you're going to lightly just kind of press it on over the line and blur that sharp line out. You don't need a lot of pigment for this, a lot of Sexy pigment, because this brush is going to do all of the blending for you. So can you see how it's really softening out there? And just let it do some blending. If you want to do a little bit more blending, just wait until the end, because you would be surprised at once you apply your mascara exactly how that really finishes off the look. Alright, our next step can be very scary for some people, but it's not too bad. I'm going to show you how I do it. We're going to be using our dark black Devious. This is very, very dark. It's black, duh. And we're going to be sprinkling some into our cap. Got that. It's a little much, but that's okay. Now, this, we're going to be taking our liner brush and find that little, where you had your rose water here. Tap it in to wet the brush. Then go ahead and press it on your towel to get all the excess off. This is where people get a little scared, so I don't want you to be scared. Just tap in, make a little paste. You're fine. Tap it off, any excess. Now, starting from on the bottom of your eye, underneath your bottom lashes, in the corner right about here, you're going to very gently do small strokes right underneath your lash line. Small, short strokes. Stop when you're in the middle. Turn your brush so it's angled the other way. And start working from the middle out towards your inner eye. Keeping that line as straight as you can. Okay. Ta-da! Okay, next step, reload your brush. You don't need to re-wet it. Reload. Tap off any excess. Now we're going to do our upper lid right along our lash line. Same concept. Start with it angled like this, start in the corner, and we're going to move up to the middle. Then what we're going to go ahead and do, so once you get it in the middle, I like to reload my brush again for the top. So we're going to reload the liner. Just kind of smash it around, press it into the brush really, really well. Tap off. And then we're going to go ahead and finish that line right above the lashes, the lash line. I did turn my brush, and now I'm working from the middle out again. This helps you get a more uniform line when you go from the outside in and then the inside to the middle. It just gives you a more unified line. So that is how you put on eyeliner with these pigments. You just use it wet, use your liner brush, your angled liner brush, and voila, that's what you get. Now, our final touch of this look, before we apply our lashes, I'm going to wipe my brush off here. Okay, last thing. We're going to be taking our crease brush, the Younique, crease brush. This is very deliberate. It's very stiff, so it works really well for applying in the crease if you want. We didn't need to because we used our deluxe brush because we wanted a bit more exaggeration, but with the crease you really have control of just doing a little bit or doing a lot. What we're going to do for this though is use just a tiny bit of our leftover daring. Just a little bit, you don't need much. Dry, you don't need to wet your brush. Swirl it. Press it in there really good. I like to do a little blow off on this step. Then what we're going to do is we're going to start in this corner and gently blend under our eye. Gently, you do not need much to do this step. I like to then come in my corner right here and connect the color. Just like that. Now at this point, you are finished before you put your mascara on, and it's going to look very dark and very overwhelming, but it's okay. Don't panic. I like to come in before I do my lashes though and just make sure I have everything. Now for some reason, I feel like I have a little bald spot right there, or a little, not as much color. So I'm not going to re-dip my crease brush into the daring, but because it still has daring on it, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can fill this in a bit. Alright. So now as you can see, this looks so dark. But what I'm going to do now is finish up my other eye, and I'll be right back and I'll do that mascara tutorial.